Hello and welcome to Film Obsessed. Now that Alien Romulus is out and many people have seen it, we must now ask the question, what is next for the franchise? Where does it go and what story does it tell? I am going to run through what Fede Alvarez, the director of Alien Romulus, has said recently about this question and give my thoughts on where I would like to see it go next. Where do you think it should go? Let me know down below in the comments and give the video a like and subscribe. I'm trying to build a film community on this channel and I'd really appreciate your support as we run through the video. Without further ado, sit back, relax, grab some popcorn, and let's jump right into it. So it is no surprise that these questions have already been coming about recently from the fandom as far as what could happen next within the Alien franchise. With how successful Alien Romulus is doing at the box office right now, I think it is fair to say that we could see more from this IP in the future. We know that we are getting something else soon with a TV show called Alien Earth. This show is reportedly rumored to be taking place before every single Alien franchise film that has come out, even Prometheus, which is the earliest prequel of all the films. How exactly that works, I'll be curious to see story-wise, but obviously the title says that this will be the first time that we see the Alien franchise go back to Earth since the AVP films, specifically with AVP Requiem. So we've got a TV show, but what else is this franchise going to do? With this in mind, we are going to go over to some quotes from Fede Alvarez, the director of Romulus, as he's actually discussed this already. Let's start off with the earliest interview that he did when at the premiere for Alien Romulus about this, which was back a week ago or so now, where he discussed the very possibility of teasing a vision for another Alien vs. Predator crossover film. Now, it's no surprise that everyone here probably knows that the original two Alien vs. Predator films are regarded as maybe some of the worst of both IPs, Alien and Predator. They did not work out back in the day, and fans did not receive them well. However, it seems that Fede Alvarez has an idea in mind for where he could do this again, and it actually relates over to another project that we already got a couple of years ago. He said in this article from Deadline that he is open to doing the idea of that crossover film, but that he'll need help, saying this: "Maybe it is something I have to direct with my buddy Dan," Alvarez said. That friend being Dan Trachtenberg, who helmed the widely watched Predator 2022 prequel film Prey for Hulu and is already working on another standalone feature for that franchise. Alvarez also said, maybe we should do like Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez did with Dusk Till Dawn. I direct one half and he'll direct the other. Alvarez also said within this interview that a lot of what happens in the future for the franchise will depend on how well Romulus does at the box office. So far as of me recording this video, the film has grossed over $100 million worldwide on a $70 to $80 million budget and plans to take in a lot more in the coming weeks, especially if it has good word of mouth. Now, let's ask the next question. Could another crossover movie featuring these two iconic science fiction characters work again? Like I said earlier, we harp on the fact that there are two examples to show that it didn't work back in the day. However, if put into the hands of the right filmmakers, I think you could definitely see it become one of the better films of both franchises collectively. I think when you look at the work that guys like Fede Alvarez and Dan Trachtenberg did with their respective Predator and Alien movies, I think that those two would definitely be great choices to take on that project, especially if they do it in the way that Fede describes. We do have to factor in just the idea alone of what it would mean to do a crossover movie in the first place as well. When doing research, I tried my best to find examples of when the last time was that we actually got a crossover movie that released in theaters for the whole world to see. If my research is correct, and I might be wrong, but if I'm correct in saying this, the last time, ironically enough, that we might have gotten a crossover movie between two different franchises was the last Alien vs. Predator film in 2007 with Requiem. If I'm completely wrong on this, do let me know in the comments and I will take the roast for it if I couldn't find something else that did come after. This was just something that was not easy to research and find. Like I said though already, I think if put into the best hands, this kind of movie could be incredible and an awesome time at the theater. I think the original two Alien vs. Predator films were not really put in the best of hands back in the day with regards to who directed them and how the studios handled it and so on and so on. I also think that it would be years before we see this movie, given as the article mentions, Trachtenberg is working on his next standalone Predator movie, and who knows what Fede Alvarez does next, especially if he's beholden to think that his next next movie would be another Alien film, whether it's a sequel to Romulus or otherwise. No matter what, if this is the next movie, I will be there day one. Let's now move on over to the newest article that came out recently with another interview that Fede did where someone asked him if he had any forethought given to the idea of a potential sequel to Romulus specifically, and if you could pitch something tomorrow if he had to do it. He said, "Yes, I definitely can. We tend to do that naturally, not even thinking about sequels. For us, movies have not become franchises, tentpoles, and sequels. This is a language that I've only learned about in the last 10 years of my life working here for me. It's always been about story. So once we finished, we started thinking, what do you think happens when or if they get to Vaga? Is it going to be great or is it going to be a terrible place? We tend to believe it is probably a terrible place that they think is great and fantasize about, so we naturally started thinking about where it goes and what is going to happen. And then, a few minutes in, we go, oh, that sounds like a sequel." He then goes on to explain in the next part that it does come down to what the audience wants and how much they go to see it, as well as the fact that it might be best to give it some time before they do another one to build up the anticipation. I do want to speak on that first part with regards to what he mentions about the story within the movie, that the remaining characters left alive at the end of the movie in Rain and Andy heading to a planet called Vaga, which is where they initially wanted to go at the beginning of the movie. The idea that Fede lays out is that maybe that planet is not a good place, and this brings in themes of what the original James Cameron Aliens film was about. To that point, I would also go as far to say that I would be very down to see the next movie take on that idea of being like aliens, to where you incorporate the Colonial Marines once again. Although, this time, if I was the storyteller, I would not kill off most of the Colonial Marines at once. I think it would be very cool if they still continued to do the story of Rain and Andy, but really honed in on the action portion of what made the original Aliens great. Obviously, you still factor in the horror roots of the franchise, but you make it more of that Colonial Marine style film, especially given we've already seen video games tackle that very thing. I think for a full-on feature-length film, that could be really awesome to watch. Speaking of which, that also leads to another potential idea, which happens to also relate to another Alien video game that has come out in the past. Alvarez has also been open about the fact that he took inspiration from a video game called Alien Isolation when making Alien Romulus. Another potential idea for a sequel is that he really hones in on this idea and makes that the plot of the newest film. Obviously, he couldn't adapt that game's story because it follows Amanda Ripley, the daughter of Ellen Ripley, so he would have to make the film his own, but that doesn't mean that he can't take inspiration for what Alien Isolation did, which was essentially you as one and only one character in the story trying to survive the xenomorphs roaming the ship that she came across. The story would just be about Rain and Andy this time around if you were to do it that way, and it would take place on that planet that they are going to. Now, there is a caveat to this because I'm sure some people out there will say that this is essentially just doing the same thing as Romulus, but just in a different location. And I can understand that argument, although again, it depends on what the story is. And if Fede can craft something great out of that, then I'm all ears for it, and I know he can do it. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the 3 potential ideas of where we could see the franchise go next, and where I personally would love to see it go. I am totally cool with all 3 ideas, and so I'm excited for the future possibilities of it all. Most importantly though, I want to know your thoughts on this. Leave your comments down below about what you think of those ideas and where you would take the franchise next. If you want to see more moving forward from me on this channel with regards to film and you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and also subscribe if you are new here and turn on that notification bell to be updated for when I upload again. So yeah, that's a wrap folks. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day and I will see you all soon for the next video.